All right, here we are back on the motorcycle again. So the last clip you saw, I was trying to tighten down the clutch basket. It needs to be torqued to 100 foot-pounds. I can't hold the basket still without it spinning because I need the basket holding tool. I ordered it, hasn't showed up. It was supposed to over the weekend, but it did not. So I can temporarily put this back together. I can torque it down while it's in the bike. That's fine. So I'm going to put the hub on it temporarily, a couple bolts in the cover, keep it sealed up. Meanwhile, we're going to do the bottom side oil pan, clean that out, the gaskets and O-rings and breather tube, and get that rock and roll and flip it over, do our throttle bodies, coils, get all that ready to rock and roll and go back in the bike. So let's get after it. Alright, so here we go. Oil pan is on. Pickup tube, breather tube cleaned up, baffle plate, everything is back together as it should be. Sealed up. Flip back around. I got to looking at the intake runners, and it appears that they've been ported before. So someone has been in this motor before. It's very interesting. Makes sense with the exhaust and the power commander and everything. So she must be making a bit more than 200. That's for sure. But anyways, we'll keep on rocking and rolling. Get the oil squitter system installed, the cooler. I don't have a new filter for it yet. Starter, throttle bodies, the rubber shield blanket jammy that goes back on there. But anyways, we'll keep rocking and rolling. Alright, so we've reached a stopping point now. Got a water pump on, our starter's in, our oil squirters, oil cooler is on, water hose, gear position sensor, oil pressure sensor, all that's in, installed, done. I need plugs, and I can put the rest of the top in on the motor because no coils can't go on, coil pack wiring, EGR stuff can't go on, throttle bodies can't even go on because they're in the way. So we are going to have to call it a night right here. So we get some more plugs tomorrow, new plugs anyways. And yeah, we'll keep on rocking and rolling. So we've got a new set of plugs. We can throw those in. He also dropped off our fairings, our oil, the hardware for said fairings, and fuel tank, radiator, fans, the rear fairings, more fairings here, So we have everything to put the bike back together completely. So time to get the motor fully assembled and possibly in the bike tonight. But yeah, we're gonna keep on trucking now that we have all our missing parts and pieces. Here we go. So there we have it. Finished buttoning up the motor as far as we can outside the bike. Now it's time to pick it up, throw it in the bike, chassis, what have you. And we're going to start with this lower mounting bolt. That way we can pivot it down, get our electrical connections plugged in, crankcase, ventilation, fuel line, get it all plugged in, routed, sorted. That way when we can just tip it straight up, bolt in our upper motor mount, and then our front motor mount braces, get our throttle body intake tubes on, finish buttoning up to the point where we got it, and then start the final assembly, getting all of the plastics reattached, all the vacuum lines, throttle cable, clutch, everything reassembled. All right, so now we're on the ZX14R today. Quick update. I realized the camera battery died, so I didn't catch everything. Rear suspension, wheel, brake, all that's back together, chains tensioned. The cooling system is on, exhaust is on. I found the connector that went to this. This was part of the crank sensor wiring here. It's hiding up underneath the throttle bodies. That's installed. Our battery's hooked up. Battery's a little bit weak, but not bad. She's got coolant, oil, filter, added the tank fairing, tank's bolted down, all that's good to go. The shift selector lever is on, that's ready to go. She is now basically running, working. The only thing left is to finish bleeding the coolant. She's running hot. Pretty sure there's an air pocket in the thermostat. Also got that clamp that was missing. Tank breather hose, that is on, installed. So we got all the missing parts. He's bringing the rest of the seat, and I want to get the cooling system bled before moving on to attaching all the fairings and plastics. Want to make that work, make sure that's good and solid. Don't want any leaks. So here we are going to move it on to bleeding the coolant, and soon be able to take it for a test drive. Make sure she rips. Alright, so from the last clip you saw, we got the coolant cap off. The reason for that is to let the air bubbles escape and not let them circulate again, since this is the higher point of the cooling system. We did make a mess, got a catch pan for that. But she got up to temp. She was having a hard time climbing up there. Once you get up to about 200, 203, 205 kicks in, the cooling fans turned on, bring the temps back down to about 194 where she sat comfortably, and fan shut off. Temp climbs back up 205, fans come back on. So our cooling system and electrical system are operating as intended. So our next step is to finish installing the fairings and then test drive. Make sure she goes through all the gears and into all the gears, since that's what she needed was the transmission. So let's do that next. Well, that is going to wrap it up for the ZX. We got all of our plastics back on, all the fairings, bottom side, bolted down, held down, screwed down, good to go. Just missing the seat. Owner is actually on his way to come pick it up. So he's got the seat with him, and gonna give it a test drive, test rip. That's it, that's all she wrote. She runs, she works, just as she should. The new transmission. Just give it a quick little fire up. Sticky key. A little bit tricky. At some point it will cooperate. Perhaps not. Not for me anyways. Owner said there was a trick to it. There she goes. We are in neutral. Kill switch. Fires right up. Every single time. Fires right up. And you shoot flames! I love this thing. Absolutely love this thing. Sounds great, runs great. So that's all she wrote for this time, man. Stay tuned for the next unknown project.